Hello, everyone. Welcome to Farm to Export, your comprehensive export masterclass for farmers. And this is the ninth series of Farm to Export. And we are going to be discussing North Central export opportunities in Nigeria. And this should also be the last um, farm to export that will be focusing on the North Central export opportunities. This should be the last one that will be focusing on a regional part of the country. We've discussed Southwest, South, Southeast. We've also discussed the Northwest, Northeast, and so this is North Central. This is North Central. So as usual, we are going to consider all the states in North Central. We are going to discuss what we can plant as farmers and what we can do in terms of livestock farming. And we are going to look at how easy it's going to be for us to be able to export our harvest or whatever product that we are producing in this region to Nigerians in diaspora and in other countries of the world. So, like I explained in the previous class when we were discussing Northeast opportunities, I was saying things about um, how there's a lot of opportunities for export in the northern part of the country. In actual fact, when you look at um, about 80–90%, let me say 80% of uh, all commodities in terms of agricultural commodities that are exported to other countries, they actually come from the north. When I say north now, I'm not saying maybe northeast, northwest, or north central, but just north in general. So they actually come from the north. And if you look at seasoned seeds, soybeans, um, dried split ginger, garlic, onions. If you look at all these range, even pepper, chili pepper, cayenne pepper. And when you look at all these range of commodities, groundnut, hibiscus, they mainly come from the northern area of the country, but they are exported through the ports in Lagos. Through the ports in Lagos. So most times they have to, first ship or let me say, move those commodities from the northern part to the southern part before it can now be loaded into containers and loaded on top of cargo vessels, for it to get to its destination. So that's just one thing. So, but for farm to export, because we've been discussing about how we can, export our own harvest, how we can, start a farm, no matter how small, have a scale of or let me say volume of harvest that we produce maybe weekly or monthly, and how we can process, package, and ship it to uh, clients around the world, across the world, even from north central part of the country. So these are some of the things that we've been looking at and we've been discussing since we started looking at the different regional parts of the country. So in North Central, it includes Benue, Kogi, Kwara, Nasarawa, Niger Plateau, and Abuja, which is the Federal Capital Territory. So one thing about North Central, unlike Northeast, if you look at Northeast, if you look at the crop range of Northeast, um, it's very there's a lot of difference when you compare it with North Central. For North Central, the weather is still cooler, it's not as hot as Northeast. so it's still cooler, and you can still plant some vegetables, some fruits, some, crops that needs maybe low temperature and all that. So you can still do that along North Central. Okay, so also in North Central, there's no seaport like we already discussed. But there's an international airport in Abuja. There's an international airport in Abuja, which is one of the busiest airports. That's the Federal Capital Territory of the country. So it's a state, or let me say, is a since it's a Federal Capital Territory, so it doesn't go for a state. So now for this capital, that could be where every state in the north, is doing their freight. In North Central, rather, is doing their freight. So that's where you take your shipment to in Abuja. And when you do the breakdown, of this, when you do the breakdown of the kind of products that you can actually get from North Central to export to other countries, there's a lot. There's a lot of it in terms of food, in terms of food stuff, raw food stuff. Just like your harvest, you can export it in its raw form. It could be something that you already processed into finished goods, and it can be semi-processed. So just like groundnut, for instance. So when you harvest groundnut, you can wash off the dirt and all that, and it's still going to be in its shell. And you can export it like that. You can remove the shell, dry it a bit and all that, and you export. That's semi processed because it's not a finished good yet. But let's say you roasted it, remove the cover and all that, then you seal it off. That's like a finished product that someone can just take and consume, immediately. So whatever the case may be, whether you want to export raw, semi-processed, or finished, that you've processed, you can do this from North Central. That is the message. That is the message. And so you can use this to actually earn what you are supposed to in dollars, from the different countries around the world. So farmers in North Central should create operational structures that allow them ship their harvest via the international airport in Abuja. So let's look at the states in North Central. Let's work with the states in North Central. So for agricultural products that you can plant, that you can harvest and export, there's oranges, so there are ways to process oranges. You can dry the fruit itself by the time you open it up and all that. So there are machines who does that. Even mangoes also. So there are several fruit products, or let me say fruit chips that includes some oranges and mangoes and other fruit also. Then sweet potato, cassava, soybeans, guinea corn, flax, yam, sesame seed, rice, groundnut, palm tree, yam, and so in Benue has a lot of agricultural crops and lots of farmers, even though they are also affected by one or two things concerning the recent outburst of bandits and all that. But a lot of our food still comes from Benue. So as a farmer in Benue, there are several ways you can, leverage the airport in Abuja to export your products, to export your harvest. So that's the message that we are passing across from here. Then in Kwara State, Kwara State is also close. It's closer to Oyo State here in the south. So in Kwara State, you can plant yam, maize, sorghum, millet, onions, beans, rice, sugarcane, cotton, and tobacco. And for livestock, you can go into cattle, goats, sheep, poultry. We already discussed that for livestock, if you want to export, one of the things that you can do is to is to process, but it's a very limited market because other developed countries don't want this product coming into their country from other countries. So some products that you may just have to look out for is beef product, poultry product, milk products, or cheese, those kind of things. They don't really want it coming into their country. So you need to watch out for those. Then Nasarawa State, we have maize, the shea nut, cotton, sorghum, cowpea, millet, sweet potato, and rice. Meanwhile, for livestock, we have cattle, we have goats, and we have sheep. Then for Niger, we have millet, there's sorghum, there's cassava, there's shea nut, soybean, cowpea, maize. In Niger State, I know that shea nut is a lot. They have a lot of shea nut there, and they do a lot of shea butter production. They do a lot of shea butter production, which you can actually leverage, to export this cosmetic raw material to other parts of the world, most especially in Europe. Europe is a continent that really consumes a lot of cosmetic products. Lots of cosmetic companies are located in countries on that continent. So that's also something that you can research or you can look into. Then Plateau State, like we all know that Plateau State, the weather is very good, the weather is beautiful. You can plant several exotic crops, vegetables, fruits, so in Plateau, you can go into this kind of crops, even spices, just to package process and package for Nigerians, Africans in the diaspora. So Plateau State is very, very good for various crops that you might want to plant for export. So what are you actually, looking at? What are you looking at to plant and to export? Let me know in the comment section. Just tell me the state where you are located and what you are actually looking at doing. So for FCT Abuja, which is the federal capital, you can plant maize, groundnut, sorghum, yam, beans. I know they also plant shea nuts in Abuja. There's also shea nuts in Abuja that you can also, leverage to export from there. So now in North Central, when you look at the commodities or the crops that you can, export out of there, groundnut is one thing that that you can go into. That is very fast. Groundnut is very, very fast. Soybeans also is very fast. Maize also is very fast. So if you look at these three crops, maize, groundnut, and soybeans, you can do a lot of justice with them. The reason why I'm not mentioning price ginger is because it involves a lot of process. By the time you harvest your ginger, you still have to wash it, you have to split it, you have to dry it, and all that. By the time it comes out, before you start to bag it and all that. So it's a lot, even though it's expensive than soybean, groundnut, and maize, but if you have that capacity to produce it, then fine. But if you don't, you can go start with groundnut. You can start with maize, you can start with soybeans. These crops are just about 3 months and you've harvested and you've processed and stored them in your warehouses where they will be bought and so for the livestock and meat, I wrote dried meat and fish product. For fish, yes, you can do a lot of export for catfish. Catfish, it enters into some parts of Europe, some parts of Eurasia, Asia, the US, UK, so catfish goes to all those places. It also goes to, yes, like I already mentioned Europe. So, so you can do a lot of catfish shipment, even snail, even snail, fresh snail or frozen snail or dried snail is also acceptable, very acceptable. So in North Central, Abuja is in North Central. So Abuja has houses, let me say the headquarters of most of all these operational companies when it comes to freight. So like the Skyline Aviation Handling Company, National Aviation Handling Company, Corporate Affairs Commission, Nigerian Customs Services, Nigeria Export Promotion Council, so all these offices, they have their headquarters there in Abuja. So if you're in North Central, it's very easy for you to do your documentation around there, whether you're in Abuja, or not. So it's very easy for you to do your documentation for your shipments, for your items that you're exporting, and do good business. So in North Central, that's why I said try to choose what crop you want to go into. So just a crop or two is okay. Is okay, very okay. You can expand as time goes. You can expand as the order keeps coming in, and and the order keeps increasing, Then so you can do your framework, do something that will make you know when you are starting, when you are going to end the project, and what you are getting out of the project. So even before you start planting, if your planning is very good, you can even have a projected income on your farm. So let's say you planted on 1 acre of land, you planted maybe ugu vegetables, and you've looked at it that okay, so if you can produce so quantity or maybe kilogram of fresh ugu leaves, by the time you cut it and you dry it and all that, it's going to become lesser. So maybe at the end of the month, maybe what you are getting every month is, let's say, 500 kilogram or 1,000 kilogram of ugu leaves, of ugu vegetables. So you can have a projection that says, oh, maybe for every 1 kilo of ugu leaves, maybe you are selling it for 50 naira. Maybe you are selling it for 100 naira. Then by the time you calculate your 100 naira by 500 naira, which is per kilogram, so you have an idea of, oh, this is how much I can be making, or this is a projected income from the sale of my harvest. So that can make you also extend your calculation to the buyer, the person you want to be selling to, whether the person is in the US, the UK, in Canada, in Spain, in Poland, in Malaysia, Turkey, in Australia, and all these places where there are lots of Nigerians. And you just target, maybe it's going to be £5 per kilogram, maybe it's $3 per kilogram, that kind of thing. So you have that in mind also. So make sure to do your research well in terms of logistics, the nearness to port, the resources you need, documentation and other, and how fast will it be getting to your client. So put structures into place to attract the right export buyers, put the necessary structures. Like I said in the previous class, even when you are so busy, you don't have time for social media marketing, digital marketing, hire someone. Let the person be your face, your eye, your ear on the social media. Let the person do all your marketing for you and all that, and take all prospective clients, stakeholders, and all that. So that's going to help you a lot. Then schedule your farm process and journey. So you have to do that so that the work won't be complex at some point in time, and then you can have a very good time doing what you are doing, or doing what you know how to do best. So this will be the end for North Central export opportunities for us farmers. Don't forget, this is Farm to Export, and it's put together by Toby Daly International, the Lagos School of Export Management, and AGX Group. Okay, so in closing, I wrote a book, A to Z of Mini Exporting, How to Build a Multi-Million-Dollar Empire Exporting Foodstuffs. So try to get a copy of this book. It has a list of a lot of things that you need, to create a sustainable business in this mini exporting industry. So do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate that very much. So thank you very much. Have a great day. In our next session, we are going to start focusing on commodities by the grace of God. Thank you.